Hey, Knights, welcome to Thought Factory. As you know, if you've been watching, we've been doing this thing. I call it Thought Factory, where I watch Inside Star Citizen for the first time. This episode is making your reputation, and I basically go over my thoughts and opinions on it. You're welcome to discuss with me in the comments of anything that I say that you want to correct me on or whatever, just go ahead. But here we go. Let's go ahead and get started.
This is without a doubt my favorite system that I've worked on at CIG. I am so excited to see it getting into the hands of players and into the hands of other developers.
We felt that because this is such a crucial part of our game, that our reputation system had to be much more evolved than that of a traditional MMO.
I love working on these systems that allow other systems to even happen.
This is where I feel like the game that we've been talking about from a reputation and from an immersiveness level can start to happen.
The reputation system that will essentially allow us to track values for a player's reputation with an entity. And when I say entity, that could be an NPC, an organization, heck, it could be a table if you want. So long as it has a persistent ID with it, we can track a value against it.
Still alive, I think.
Not only can we track a value, we can track several values. Those values are in something that we call a scope. When we say scope, we're talking about...
I want to pause it here. I kind of want to look at this a little bit more. So, Wallace Clem. So this is like confidence level. That's pretty cool. So obviously, I would assume if it's in the green, you're doing really good with them. If it's in the red, like this one, not so much. Affinity, that's all the way in the green, and you got your red here. So, and of course, organizations. Now, I don't know if this is like this is probably in-game organizations. They're probably not talking about like player-based organizations here. Obviously, this would probably be in-game organizations, but that's pretty cool. So I hope to see this more, see more in depth on it.
Two different things. There's affinity, which is this kind of measure of how much a entity likes you, and that's common across all these entities, NPCs, organizations, etc.
Hello.
A few different things affect affinity. It's going to be mostly your mission performance, and more specifically actually, what you do during that mission. That's when affinity will really get big boosts. It is also worth noting that we can affect affinity through just your everyday action. For organizations, affinity is a little bit different in that it kind of represents the amalgamated opinion of that organization and its members towards you.
Alright, so yeah, this is organization, so it is NPC organizations.
It's going to control a lot of things like whether or not they want to attack you or help you, for instance. And then there's confidence/career. Confidence
and
is...
I'm assuming that if you help one organization, it could affect your confidence or affinity with another organization. You could have two organizations that are kind of, I guess, going at each other or dislike each other a lot. So I would assume that would be a thing.
Exclusive to mission givers, and it kind of says how good they think you are at your job. Career is how an organization might be tracking that same value, how good you are at your job. The difference with an organization is that they can have several career scopes. So a security company like Crusader Security might have a bounty scope, but they also might have a defense scope or a jailer scope or any number of these career scopes.
That's pretty cool. That's actually really cool. So let's see. Veteran guild member guild. So this is the ranking system, I guess, within the organization. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that.
That we want to track your different levels of career proficiency with different kinds of gameplay. Within scopes, we have this concept of standing.
I think that this whole system is going to add so much more playability to Star Citizen. It opens up, reputation opens up so much more. And the thing with this is, from what I understand, your character will gain these reputations. But if your character dies permanently, because there will be eventually permadeath in Star Citizen, it will, I guess you can say that his son or his clone, because I think you're going to actually be able to even clone your character. So there will be cloning, but maybe even pass it down to your son. When your main character dies, and it's passed down to your son, from what I understand, or your clone, it's going to lose reputation. So it's actually going to end up hurting you a little bit. I don't know the severity of it, but in my opinion, I think it should be, a pretty good severity, because you've got to make it to where people don't want to just throw their lives away. You got to make it to where people don't just do stupid stuff so that they can be like, oh, well, if I die, oh, well, I'll just get another clone, or blah, 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 or this or that. You've got to make it to where people actually value their life, their lives in Star Citizen. That's just my opinion on it.
These are the ranks that you move through from negative whatever to positive whatever, and we can tell when we assess you, either through the missions or the mission givers or NPCs or however they are looking at you, what standing you are at. One of the things that we are very excited to have is these reputations giving you things when you get to those higher standings. The idea is that this is giving you benefits and rewards for progressing through the game. It's a progression system at its heart. The other thing that I'm really excited about with this coming out is the concept of allowing for group building and community building with this, by allowing you to bring something unique to your group of friends table. You might have a reputation with a certain organization at a high level that your other friends don't, and you've maybe done a little bit of extra work to maintain that, get that up there, etc. And as a result, you're able to bring in something cool, like a mission that normally they wouldn't be able to do. Plus, everybody likes bragging rights. We all know that you're going to be putting up screenshots on the subreddit or whatever, saying, look at all these reputations I have at max, look at what I'm able to maintain, all that. We're darn excited about how that's going to play out potentially.
Cool, yeah.
So for this release, a lot of our focus is around missions and how that's going to be affecting things like your affinity and confidence. But going forward, you'll be having actions that affect your reputation of other kinds. So that's going to be things like a mission giver.
This stuff, I think I found this person in ArtCorp or Area 18 before. I've kind of stumbled back there. This stuff is kind of cool. I think this is going to be the more shadier type deals. You're going to kind of walk in the back alley and, make these shadier type deals, which again, could be based on smuggling and stuff like that.
Where you might push them, but it also could be like if you shoot at them, or if you shove one of their friends, or if you talk to them in the wrong way, if you choose a bad choice in a conversation tree. It could be any number of things. We even have talked about some fun stuff where, like, Konstantin Herson, for instance, is a bit of a snob. You walk in wearing a bad coat or like some weird clothes, he might think less of you. You can also...
And I think that's cool. I think that's really cool. I mean, there's got to be... I think if you walk in there, I think your armor... there's got to be a reason to change armor. There's got to be a reason to walk around. Why would I take off my armor, and put on, like, just regular clothes? Why would I do that? So you've got to give me a reason to do that. And I think that's the reason to do that. And again, when physicalized inventory comes, you're not going to just be able to bring up your mobiGlas or reach into a magic bag and grab some random clothes or grab armor or have 5 things of armor in this magical bag. That's the thing. So before you even meet this guy, you would need to prepare. So that means that you need to land. Once you land in the hangar, you'll go to your closet. you'll pick out a nice suit and you'll dress up, and then you'll go and see this guy, and it'll help your reputation with him or affinity. So I think that's really cool. I think that's a good way to do that.
So key it off of things like when you happen to raid a ship that is controlled by maybe Crusader security. We could key it off of something like you go into the wrong area. I mean, you just walk into a club where the bouncer doesn't want you to be there. We could key it off of you having the wrong decal on your ship, or flying in a way that a person doesn't really think that you're flying in a cool way, essentially. It's very open-ended. One of the things that we're really looking forward to is giving flavor to organizations by essentially playing with what they like and don't like. So there might be an organization that really likes it when you go around PvPing and killing other players. There might be organizations that frown on that a little bit. There might be organizations that really, really like it when you do piracy or smuggling or illegal acts. And there might
I think, I mean, it's going to be, I think in my opinion, it's going to be impossible to have a good standing with every organization. And I think that's fine. I really do. I think if you want to, choose to be, a good guy, then obviously you're standing with other good entities or good organizations are going to be high. And your standing with bad organizations are going to be bad. And I think that that's how it should be. I don't think you should be able to have good rep with every organization. I think that should be impossible. Again, that's just my opinion.
also be some that aren't so okay with that, and that feel is going to allow us to bring a lot of the lore that up until now has existed on a website into the game so that you guys can actually experience it and get to know these people in the universe. And all that brings me to the topic of drift. Drift is the concept that over time your reputation might move up or down based on the mission giver organization essentially moving towards neutral with you. Now, before you all get your torches and pitchforks out, the concept here isn't to enforce a horrifying grind or anything like that. We do want to reward you for gameplay that you already want to do on your own. But we do want to make sure also...
I'm fine with drift. What he was talking about. I think if you are inactive with an organization, obviously your reputation should fall. I mean, that's my take on it. I mean, if you're not active, then I mean, no, you're going to go into the shadows. No one's going to remember your name or know who you are. Your reputation will fall. I don't have any problem with that. I really don't. It goes the same with, like, if you have a bad reputation with someone, if you're not, doing anything to hurt them, then maybe they don't know about you, and maybe they go to neutral with you. But I think that there should be organizations that, should always be suspicious of you, especially like, if you're if it's a bad organization and they do illegal stuff and you just come out of nowhere, then I think that they should still be suspicious of you. But I have no issues with that.
Also, that these very high ends of reputation are things that take effort to get to and maintain. And by doing that, we let people sort of be unique and interesting by saying, I want to make sure that I keep that one and that one at max, and put in that effort, and keep people interested in the game in a long-term sense, giving them goals that they can keep on setting out.
So when it comes to, how big of a change fundamentally is this?
Now, let me go back. Rank. I think if you've gathered rank up in the organization, should you lose it? I'm not sure if you should lose your rank. I mean, I guess you could be demoted. But it's kind of one of them things where maybe you could be fired. I mean, if you're a certain rank and you're not doing something to maintain that rank, then maybe, the corporation or organization, whatever you're with, they're going to be like, well, you're not doing nothing for us no more. We're going to either demote you or we're going to fire you, or whatever, or kill you, whichever.
This is a massive change for not just what it means for the game now, but where the game is going.
Like all things, we'll be putting it out, we'll be watching the feedback, we'll be seeing what the numbers say. We've got analytics all over the place, watching what you guys are doing to see if we need to tweak into numbers. It's going to be an ongoing effort, especially when we get to the concept of going from alpha to out of alpha. Those numbers are going to continue to shift. With that in mind, the ability for players to bring something unique to their groups, that excites me a lot. I love in MMOs the systems that make players want to play with each other. That's what makes them better than other games, is that community. And bringing that to Star Citizen to me is one of the most important things that we could do. Making sure that it builds a strong community, that's what's going to bring people back to Star Citizen over and over and over.
And to expand on this more, I think that they should even go as far as to, if you're a player that's part of a player organization, a player-built organization, I think player-built organizations should have reputation with these NPC organizations as well. I really do. I think they should definitely bring a reputation system for player built organizations as well. I think that would be cool.
The reputation system is a turning point moment in the continuing development of the Star Citizen experience, adding consequences and rewards to almost any action or decision you make, and allowing for developers to build a sense of true progression as more and more systems plug into it across subsequent releases. And speaking of releases, Alpha 3.13 is right around the corner, so let's take a look at some of the new additions coming to the Persistent Universe when it arrives in the patch report. First up, we gotta start with the reputation system we just explored, which looks to enhance every feature before it by adding progression and rewards while serving as the ground floor for nearly every feature to come, ready to plug in and add advancement and goodies galore to each new aspect as they come online. In addition to the reputation system, Alpha 3.13 brings with it several expansions and revisions to existing assets and locations, beginning with our new drive-in and sinkhole entrances for cave systems, providing new opportunities to explore with ground vehicles and spacecraft alike. New asteroids created with our refined process for more variety and less potatoey, and the same great danger of crashing into. Non-commercial overlays for existing refineries designed to bring a more
Sorry, I don't know what is going on with why I'm at 480p. What is going on here?
industrialized look while minimizing some of the excessive branding elements currently found on some stations. As well as a wrap-up to the polished revisions of every planet and moon in the Stanton system, work that began several quarters ago, improving the overall look and feel of everything from Aberdeen to Yela. There's also new missions.
They seem to have redone, or maybe not redone, maybe upgraded. They seem to have upgraded the planets several times. And again, I've talked about this in a previous video where they're almost handcrafting the planets, and it's taking a very long time. I wish they would come up with some kind of system where they could procedurally generate most planets or stars. Obviously, if there is a planet that they want to be a part of an online story mode, or I think that there should be some handcrafted planets, but I think that most planets should be procedurally generated. One that's going to help with exploring operations, so that actually gives the explorer ships something to do, because in my opinion, I think that if they're handcrafting all these planets, then they pretty much know what's going on them, or where they're going on them. Maybe they make it random, like random nodes on places, which is, kind of okay. But yeah, that's my take on that.
Types scattered throughout Stanton, including quantum-sensitive and timed multi-drop deliveries similar to those first introduced during our Xenothreat event. Multiple additions from the actor feature team, like the new stagger force reactions, the object push-pull trolleys scattered throughout the system,
I think this is so
and
cool.
mounted guns they still tell me we can't put on trolleys. Can't or won't, Richard Tyrer? There are several new vehicle features coming your way in Alpha 3.13, beginning with the long-awaited arrival of docking between the Merlin and Constellation. Yes, no longer will that ship in the back just be permanently attached to your butt.
That is awesome.
We've all been there, right? Afterwards, ship-to-station docking will roll out in a subsequent 3.13X patch later this quarter to allow for some additional testing and polish. We're trying to avoid scratching the paint on our 890s as much as you are. Speaking of which, the first version of Wear and Dirt is coming with the new Vehicle Visual Degradation System. Not only adding our first systemic use of the system, but allowing players to finally wash some of their spaceships when they go for repairs. Mining ships are getting another layer of customizability with the addition of mining laser subcomponents, allowing players to customize their laser experience to a greater degree than with consumables alone. Owners of the 600i, 890 Jump, Hammerhead, Reclaimer, Mercury Star Runner, and Anvil Carrack will now be able to display their unique...
Oh, yes. And ship naming. I love this. I think this is an amazing feature. I really do. Obviously your ship names have got to be appropriate. You can't come up with inappropriate names like penis whipper or whatever. It's got to be appropriate names. But this is one of my favorite features to the ship.
Ship names for all to see in Alpha 3.13, while the feature is expected to roll out to additional ships in subsequent patches.
That is so cool.
The long-awaited Sdf Shields, first introduced with the NPC Idris and Javelin earlier this quarter, now expand to all ships in the Star Citizen universe, plugging up shield holes and providing new visual experience.
I was on the fence about these shields changing colors. In my opinion, I don't think that you should be able to visually tell without your ship's assistance. Visually tell the degrading of the shields. Because the reason why I say that is because, instead of you having to focus on your ship's display, your sensors, your target readout, now all you have to do is look at the color of the shields. I don't like that. I think it takes away from having to monitor, like let's say that you have a crew on one of your ships and you have someone who specifically monitors your target. So they tell you their shields are at 30%, their shields are at 20%, their shields are at 10%. This feature right here kind of takes away from that, in my opinion. I don't think you should be able to tell what the shields are at. That's just my opinion. Now, maybe you could add a feature to your ship that would allow that. So maybe like you add a targeting system. And, if you have a cheat targeting system, it doesn't show you, visually in your helmet's display or your cockpit's display or whatever. But then let's say you upgrade your targeting information and it feeds this information visually to your visor. I think that's fine. Okay. But if you take your visor off and you're just shooting and you have no helmet on, or you're not, your information isn't showing on your, display, like on your hood, I don't think you should be able to tell. That's my opinion on this. I think this really takes away from having to monitor your target status.
That not only look better, but can help with gauging your attack effectiveness as well. And finally, in vehicle content, we've got the new
Now,
Cyclone Mtv.
I have a question about this thing
vehicle
right here. So you got your missiles right here, okay? And you got your dude that kind of sits here. And I would say that he needs definitely to have armor on. Because when this missile right here shoots out, it's going to fry this dude. This dude is going to be fried. He is going to be charcoal. Because, I'm assuming this missile uses some kind of propulsion, such as something that burns you or can knock you back. Because in order for this missile to propel itself forward, it has to have a propellant. Okay? And if that propellant shoots out of this tube right here, then I would think it has a possibility of taking this dude that's here and shooting him back. So in my opinion, this is a horrible design. And then the dude here, the dudes that are driving it or in the seats, they're going to get some flame as well. So I'm not really liking this.
Content, we've got the new Cyclone
Now,
MT.
of course, the armor is meant to withstand heat. Okay, I get that. So if you have some kind of armor on that has heat, but again, it goes to, even if it doesn't burn him up, it is going to, if that thrust hits him, it's going to make him fly backwards. Do you guys see what I'm saying?
Variant scheduled to arrive with Alpha 313, as well as fan favorites the Tumbril Nova and Hercules Starlifter in subsequent three.
Right now, I don't think the Nova tank's going to be worth anything. I don't think it's going to do anything at the moment. But hopefully in the future, maybe like if you have a base and it has a whole bunch of anti-air around it, okay, and it's almost impenetrable via air, then maybe a Hercules can drop some of these Nova tanks off in the distance, a ways away, and then they can make their way to destroy these anti-air anvil ballistas or whatever it is. Destroy some of those, making way for a drop ship like a Valkyrie or something. That's the only real reason why I see these tanks to work. But this tank right here looks like maybe it has anti-air as well. So I don't know.
313X patches later this quarter. So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that the reputation system is the next major new addition to the Star Citizen experience. That it aims to add a real sense of progression and genuine impact for your efforts in the persistent universe. And that every move you make, every bond you break, every step you take, it'll be watching you. The lawyer said I couldn't sing it. Keep an eye out for Alpha 313 progress to find out when it moves from PTU to the live environment, as well as a new merchandise promotion that's starting soon, so save up for that. It includes a brand new Star Citizen shirt that's 100% pre-shrunk cotton. And as a person whose wardrobe is almost exclusively Star Citizen shirts at this point, this is easily the most comfortable one we've made yet. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. We'll see you all next week.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Jared. So, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And again, if you guys want to discuss anything, just post in the comments, and I'll debate with you. All right, Knights, y'all have a good one, and I appreciate y'all enjoying this episode of Thought Factory. Y'all have a good one. Bye.